Howdy folks, welcome to the next video in the 2026 primary election analysis series. On May 19th, there will be 6 states voting that day. Alabama and Georgia have already been reviewed. It's now Idaho's turn. We'll review their current congressional slate and primary process, followed by spotlights for the candidates sincere in restoring the rule of law and improving our lives. Links to all approved candidates and other referenced news sources or videos will be listed in the video description. Returning viewers know why I make these videos, but if you're new to the channel, here are the cliff notes. Orange man bad. Should have been impeached over a year ago. Our Congress is still spineless and doesn't understand Rule 9. We need new Congress members ready to impeach, remove, and convict every criminal in our government and abolish and prosecute ICE for their crimes. Afterwards, if we make it that far, still have a habitable planet, and avoid nuclear Armageddon. Assuming all that, these are the policies the next Congress must fight for. Calls for Trump's impeachment have increased after that threat against Iran. We'll see if enough members find their spines to do the right thing. Better late than never. Otherwise, we are just waiting for him to die soon, which is technically a plan. He's 79 and decaying a little more each day, although this is the tactic of spineless cowards. But know this, however Trump is removed from office, our problems never started with Trump, and they won't end with his death. And they certainly won't end if centrist and liberal Epstein-class Democrats, those financed by AIPAC and corporations, the weak Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries, continue to win their elections. The midterm elections will happen on November 3rd. The primary elections will narrow down our options in those elections. By not participating, it guarantees the Epstein class another seat in Congress regardless which party wins. To fight and start taking power back, we all must participate in the primary election process and support the candidates who are sincere in fighting for the people. Let's now discuss how our friends in Idaho can do just that. Idaho is a state with a small population size of around 2 million. This gives them 2 seats in the House of Representatives. As with most states covered so far, Idaho is no exception to also being captured by AIPAC. Unfortunately, in addition to being Republican-controlled, there is the additional geriatric problem. Their youngest member of Congress in the House is 64, everyone else being 74 or older. Their Class 2 Senator, Jim Risch, is 82 and still running for re-election. Their governor is 71-year-old Republican Brad Little. Idaho. Why? Stop making these terrible choices. The sad truth might just simply be the population of Idaho consists of too many Republican cultists. When looking at the results of special elections that have happened this year, seats held by Republicans by 20 points are being flipped. As we will soon discuss, this might not happen in Idaho. There is still a sizable non-voter bloc like in all U.S. states. In the 2016 primary, only 21.5% of eligible voters made their voices heard. In the general, it went up to 57%. The primary elections in the U.S. have much lower turnout, and these numbers are far more embarrassing when compared to the election participation of other democratic nations. For progressive candidates to win in every state, it will take as many eligible voters to register and vote for those candidates every election day. While the 2nd District didn't have anyone inspiring to mention, the 1st District and Senate candidate did earn the secular lefty-approved spotlight. Before discussing them, we will review the primary process the candidates and voters must navigate to win. The information provided from Ballotpedia here informs us Idaho law allows the political parties to decide who may participate in their primary. As of September 2025, the Democrats decided on open primaries and the Republicans have closed primaries. In closed primaries, only registered voters who are affiliated with a political party may vote in the party's primary. In semi-closed primaries, independent voters may choose a partisan ballot to vote in. In open primaries, any registered voter may choose to vote in any party's primary. In systems without ranked choice voting or a top 2 style system, open primaries are the next best option. It allows the voices of independents and non-party affiliated voters to be heard. There is an argument to be made, though, what about Republicans voting for a weaker candidate to manipulate the Democratic primary? Maybe, but extremely unlikely. Or if it does happen, it's a negligible amount. Most people either just don't vote in the primaries, or when they do, they go to vote for someone. For the candidates to win their primary, they need to earn a plurality of votes. No minimum is required. There will not be a runoff election. Whoever earns the most votes in the primary moves on to the November general election. This next piece of information is critical for eligible voters. This is from the National Conference of State Legislatures. If you are not registered to vote, you have 11 days before an election to do so in person, by mail, or online. The election is May 19th, so you have until May 8th to get that voter registration sorted out. As displayed on the site here, vote 411. However, even if you do fail to register in time, Idaho also allows same-day registration on Election Day. Yes, the option is there, but don't wait to the last minute. Don't give election officials any reason to not count your ballot and get your voter registration sorted out sooner. Moving on to Idaho's primary candidates, not every seat has an inspiring candidate to vote for. In the 2nd District, there is a Democratic candidate running unopposed. While they will win that primary race, there's no evidence to support spotlighting them. There are independent and third-party options in this district, as well as in every Idaho congressional race. Unfortunately, none of them provided any evidence to be secular lefty approved. Here are the 2024 general election results for the 2nd District. The geriatric Republican incumbent won with 61.4% of the vote. The Dem only earned 31% of the vote, with 7.6% going to third-party candidates. This is a common theme we will see in the other races in Idaho. The Republicans have been winning with comfortable leads, and the state does have very active third-party participation. Although, just because the option is there doesn't necessarily mean you should go vote for them. The Libertarians are essentially Republicans that are slightly better on social issues, and I know nothing about the Constitution Party, but whatever campaign the candidate Idaho Law was running clearly wasn't good enough. The Democratic candidate was David Roth. We'll talk more about him when discussing the Senate race. Before that, we will spotlight Democratic candidate Kaylee Peterson running in the 1st District. Kaylee Peterson is a candidate that doesn't check all the secular lefty policies that I had shown earlier at the start of this video. That does tend to happen in states with more Republicans. However, Kaylee isn't a terrible candidate either. She has several detailed policy positions on her website, 3 of which I decided to focus on for her spotlight. Healthcare is always a primary focus of mine. I want more candidates to be clear and state they support Medicare for All or a single-payer health insurance program. There have been several candidates in recent primary review videos where their language is less than clear. Kaylee's healthcare section is sadly another example for the list. She starts off by saying, get insurance companies out of the healthcare system and end the influence of profit-driven middlemen. This is a great statement, and I agree we should abolish private health insurance. But I don't know if that's her actual position, because in the next sentence she contradicts it. She continues by saying, break up monopolies among providers and insurers to increase competing and lowering costs. Well, now I'm confused. Which one is it? Are you abolishing private insurance, which again is the correct answer, or are you only supporting they be broken up but still allowed to continue their role in raising costs and denying health care? This could be something she has clarified in person, speaking with voters. Maybe there's an interview out there. At the moment, I don't have any more info or the time to look for it. That's why with these spotlights, I hope they are the beginning of your political research, but if all you do is watch this video before voting, you'll still be more informed than most. In her policy for immigration, it's not worded as strongly as I would like, but there are some points of agreement. Any candidate's immigration policy should include abolishing and prosecuting ICE for their crimes, which is sadly missing from this section. Nevertheless, our immigration system is still broken and needs major reforms, such as streamlining the visa process and fully funding immigration courts, as Kaylee has written here. The final policy focus of hers to discuss is her statement on Israel. The majority of the U.S. population knows that Israel's actions in Palestine, both in the West Bank and Gaza, have been genocide and ethnic cleansing. These past 2.5 years will be among the largest stains on American history. We need more politicians who are honest with Americans, who see what we see and are ready to put an end to it. Any politician still defending Israel and taking AIPAC money needs to be replaced. I'd like to see Kaylee be that new Congress member for Idaho's 1st District, but let's now talk about the recent election history for that district. This is not Kaylee's first time running for this office. In fact, it'll be her 3rd attempt. In 2022, she earned 26% of the vote. In 2024, the field became a bit more crowded and earned 25.4%. The Republican incumbent won with a comfortable 71% each time. This just may be a district with too many Republican and MAGA cultists. If the voters in Idaho's 1st District would like to prove me wrong, please do. Go vote for Kaylee on the May 19th primary and again on November 3rd. Prove that you, the people in Idaho's 1st District, actually want better for yourselves and others. Also, to the 14,500 people that voted Libertarian or Constitution, knock it off. I looked at some of those candidates' pages of the Libertarians and Constitution Party candidates that are running again in 2026. These are not serious people. They do not have well thought out policy positions. If the voters in Idaho's 1st District want to elect a Congress member ready to fight for policies to improve your life, then you need to rally around Kaylee Peterson and give her a chance to win in the general election. If not enough voters change parties, hopefully a large portion of the non-voters might be willing to vote this year and help correct our country's political path. Kaylee has run twice before, which helps with name recognition, and she has an okay policy platform. It could be better. Millions of Americans are disgusted by Trump and Republicans and their fascist policies. Maybe under all these circumstances, this third run will be the winning one. We'll find out. Moving on to the U.S. Senate race in Idaho, David Roth is a candidate with a very good policy page. He finds the right balance of informing you of his policy positions without needing to read multiple paragraphs. He has more on his webpage, but these are my top 3 policies of his. First, on healthcare. In clear, no uncertain terms, Medicare for all. Great. He has additional info on other healthcare-related policies, as with each policy group, but the other 2 are congressional reform and labor protections. If you live in Idaho, I encourage you to read more of David's policies on his webpage. His policy positions align very well with many of the policies I listed earlier, a candidate well deserving of the secular lefty approved spotlight. As we saw earlier in District 2, David ran in 2024, earning 31% of the vote. Idaho didn't have a Senate seat up for election that year. Back in 2022, they did, and hilariously, with several of the same candidates we've seen so far. There's that Idaho law again, although this time as a libertarian. And sadly, he didn't even get 1% of the vote. Again, these libertarians, and apparently their brother party in stupidity, the Constitution Party, are just fucking around, not doing anything to build political power to help people. Their presence is allowing the Republicans to win, as opposed to consolidating around one candidate to defeat the fascists. There have been some states, such as Ohio, where the Democratic candidate for Senate, for example, is a weaker choice than the independent option Greg Levy. I have no problem supporting a third party or independent candidate, but they also require evidence to suggest they are worth supporting. Even establishment Democrats will admit they can't win everywhere. That is why the Nebraska Democratic Party was going to not run a candidate for U.S. Senate against secular lefty-approved independent candidate Dan Osborne. There is currently a Democrat on the ballot, but they are someone working with the Republican Pete Rickards to split the vote with Dan Osborne. Back in Idaho, this is not the case. In 2022, David Roth earned 28.7% of the vote. I reviewed the campaign pages for the Libertarian candidate and the 2 independents running in 2026. They are all non-inspiring and offer nothing to voters other than allowing geriatric Republican, 82-year-old Jim Risch to win re-election and drop dead in office, if he even lives through the election. David has the best policies, and once again, a candidate with name recognition from his former attempts. If the independent and third-party candidates don't drop out and endorse David, then I hope the voters in Idaho will do the right thing and support David in both the primary and general elections. Neither of these seats will be easily winnable. It would take an extremely large number of Republican voters to switch to voting for a Democrat. I am not positive there is enough Republican voters willing to do that. Where these candidates can make up the difference is if the 40% of eligible voters who don't normally vote in the general election decide to participate in the elections this year. These 2 candidates are the best Idaho has to offer for Congress. I hope the voters in Idaho will agree. These spotlights will help these candidates, but the bulk of the work is still on them. They need to speak with and be accessible to their constituents and convince them why they are the better candidate. Explain how voting for them will lead to better policies in Washington to improve their lives. If these candidates have learned from their past election failures, then we will see that in the upcoming election results. Before ending this video, I also want to spotlight a few additional races here and increase their visibility. Back on March 3rd, Texas had their primary election and required candidates to earn a majority of votes to win. In 8 of those races, no candidates won a majority, and the winners will be decided by a runoff election on May 26. 4 of these races have secular lefty-approved candidates that I recommend you support and vote for if you can. Next in Michigan, a spotlight for the U.S. Senate race there. Another election poisoned by AIPAC money and establishment misdirection. The best candidate is Abdul el-Sayed, the physician and co-author of the book Medicare for All, A Citizen's Guide. This is the best candidate in that race. Michigan's candidate filing deadline closes on May 26th and votes on August 4th. So there's still some time for this election, but it's important to keep an eye on it now. I talked more about this race in my last Secular Lefty Chat episode that reviewed the Illinois primary results. We need to avoid more losses like we had in Illinois, and if you haven't seen that episode yet, go check it out after this video. Lastly, a shout out for candidate Hunter Gordon, a great progressive and secular lefty approved candidate running in Washington's 1st District against APAC Dem Susan Dilbeen. This is a grassroots campaign not taking any corporate PAC money. If you are in the position to donate, this is a race worth supporting to take down another APAC Epstein-class puppet. Idaho votes on May 19th, and these two are the secular lefty-approved candidates with the best chance of winning in the general election. If you disagree, or if there was any relevant information I may have missed, let me know in the comments. All approved candidates mentioned will have their campaign pages linked in the video description. Learn more about them. If you're in a position to donate, consider supporting their campaigns. If you'd like to tip the messenger, head on over to my Patreon and help support the channel. Every dollar is greatly appreciated, and if you help me reach my goal, I can do more videos full-time. With more time, I can do more research and provide better information. Until then, this is the best I can do. The next states to vote are Indiana and Ohio, voting on Tuesday, May 5th, followed by Nebraska and West Virginia the following Tuesday, May 12th. Then on Saturday, May 16th, Louisiana voters will make their choices. Episodes reviewing their primary candidates are out now. If you know anyone who lives in those states, please share the channel and those videos with them. Idaho is not the only state voting on May 19th. Alabama and Georgia will also be voting, and have already been reviewed. Kentucky, Oregon, and Pennsylvania will be voting, and are the next videos to be released on the channel. Be sure you're subscribed and ring that bell to be notified of my newest videos. If you found anything I said in today's video useful, please give it a like and share it everywhere. Together, we can make Americans more educated, and hopefully that will result in better election outcomes. Until the next video, please consider checking out my other work on this channel. Any additional watch time and shares will help the channel reach more people and is greatly appreciated. Thank you again for listening. Take care.